listening to the Night Demon Network. Go to nightdemon.net/subscriber to unlock more exclusive content.
Every weeknight, it's Buzz After Dark.
You like that?
With Eric Steele.
Hang out with me Monday through Friday from 7 to midnight for the Buzz After Dark. It's kind of like the Titanic, except instead of 3 hours to sink, it takes 5 hours.
Freaks come out at night, that's for sure.
Welcome to the blessed night. Yeah!
The Buzz After Dark. After Dark.
All night long.
Awesome tunes, clothing optional.
Hope you enjoyed the ride.
Weeknight 7 to midnight on 102.9 The Buzz.
Nashville's rock station.
Night Demon fans and friends, we are calling upon you to get Welcome to the Night added to rotation on 102.9 The Buzz. Text the Buzz hotline at area code 615-399-1029 to request Night Demon's Welcome to the Night. That's area code 615-399-1029. You know what to do.
Hello and welcome to the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast. I'm your host, Nesbitt, and this is part 4 of our 4-part Cirith Ungol story. Now, I highly recommend you go back and listen to the first 3 to get the background for this episode. In the first 3 parts, we talked about Cirith Ungol's formation and rise, recording of their classic albums, the factors that led to their breakup, and 25 years of inactivity. And we also discussed how Night Demon worked to put the band back together and their triumphant return to the stage at Frost and Fire Festival 2. This is the Cirith Ungol Story, Part 4. So last week we discussed and played clips from Cirith Ungol's first reunion show at the Ventura Theater. It was their first reunion show in 25 years. And that first show at Frost and Fire 2, it was the first step in Cirith Ungol starting a new chapter in their legacy. It was the result of a lot of hard work by the members of Cirith Ungol and Night Demon, and it really bonded the two bands together. Here's Tim Baker, vocals, Cirith Ungol.
Our working relationship with Night Demon has been great. Since Jarvis is actually in the band and actually manages the band, along with, being in Night Demon and managing them and a number of other bands, it works out that, we do a lot of gigs together, which, of course, we kind of have to since he's in the band. So normally when we do that, the Night Demon and us are booked at the same festivals. So that works out great. Dusty and Armand are do the technical stuff for us, and they really help out a lot. I mean, Dusty really helps out Rob with the drums, and Armand does all the technical stuff, all the guitar stuff, and helps out doing, if we have problems with any kind of equipment, sound, or anything like that. So we couldn't ask for a better support group of those guys. Since, it's not just a support group, it's just as being friends and traveling companions and stuff. So, it's worked out great. We love those guys, and, we can't thank them enough for all the help and all the support. It's been amazing.
So after the second Frost and Fire Festival, the next step was to tour Europe. In the 45 years since the band formed, they had never toured there, despite having a huge fan base overseas. Here's Jarvis Leatherby, Night Demon, and Cirith Ungol.
So the next thing to do was keep it true, and that was happening in April of 2017. So we basically had a 6-month gap between the first gig and the next.
So in what would become a common occurrence that year, sharing a bill with Cirith Ungol was Night Demon.
Thank y'all so much. It's fucking good to be back in Germany. We got a new record that came out last week called Darkness Remains. Here's a new one off that. This is Hollow Ground.
So in April of 2017, at the Keep It True festival in Germany, Night Demon gets a slot on the festival, and Cirith Ungol headlines, and the European crowd finally gets to see the band live after over 45 years.
Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast listeners. This is Dusty Squires chiming in to tell you about my brand new signature sticks from the London Drumstick Company. I've dreamt of having my very own drumsticks ever since I was a wee lad, and LDC made that a possibility for me. Founded in 2016 in London, England, the birthplace of heavy metal, the London Drumstick Company has trailblazed a path through the music industry and taken the drummer world by storm. When I met them for the first time, they knew their product was going to withstand the beatings of a Night Demon show. They took the time to work with me on getting everything just right. The balance and weight of my sticks are the same no matter what, and the durability is bar none the best I've ever had. I know my sticks will last through the set night after night. I'm truly honored to work with a company that caters to their players the way LDC does. Their innovation and attention to detail is what separates them from the rest of the stick makers out there. Their custom stick sleeves are unbelievable and really make the entire presentation complete. Wait until you see the design they came up with for me. It blew my mind and was a surprise to say the least. They have all kinds of amazing swag, including hoodies, t-shirts, drummer shorts, drum keys, stick bags, towels, face masks, practice pads, and much, much more. Even if you're not a drummer, you can be a part of Demon history and order my brand new signature sticks direct from their website. How cool is that? And to top it off, the London Drumstick Company are giving an exclusive offer to the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast listeners. Go to londondrumsticks.co.uk and receive a 15% store-wide discount using promo code DEMONSTICKS. All capital letters, no spaces, Demon Sticks. DEMONSTICKS. I can't thank everyone there enough for the opportunity to be a part of their family and for them trusting me with their amazing products. See you metal maniacs on the road very soon. And yes, the wood chips will be flying.
A series of festivals followed Keep It True in 2017. In May, they play the Up the Hammers Festival 12 in Athens, Greece, where the band hits new heights.
And then there's the shows that, you know, you really see the guys blossom and you really have those awesome shows, and when they're really feeling like they're on top of the world, because they were, you know, at those shows. In Greece, we were doing it's a really cool festival, and just the energy from the crowd and the band feeling that energy is just like, you know, when they're firing on all cylinders, it's freaking awesome. And then to see everybody just in their element and up there doing their thing, it's something else.
This show from the Up the Hammers Festival in Greece was actually recorded for a live CD and DVD, which they called I'm Alive. Up next was the Defenders of the Old Festival in New York, Chaos Descends Festival in Germany, and then Psycho Las Vegas. So after finishing off 2017 with a few more festivals, the Days of Darkness, Hammer of Doom, Cirith Ungol is officially returned. Now, in addition to those festivals, they continue to play the Frost and Fire festivals, Frost and Fire 3 and 4.
These shows, I think for Frost and Fire and Cirith Ungol being a part of it, and Cirith Ungol being like the main inspiration behind us throwing the festival in the first place, I think it only goes hand in hand, and it only makes the event that much more magical. I think if we threw a Frost and Fire without Cirith Ungol there, it wouldn't quite be the same. You know, we might end up doing it one day if the band's not around anymore or whatever. I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but I feel like having Cirith Ungol on the festival or at the festival really makes it what it is, and really adds that amazing element and attraction to what people are attracted to. You know, they want to go to this event and pay homage to, you know, the kings of underground fantasy metal, right? So
the band continues to play the festival that was named after them, Frost and Fire. So in 2017, October of 2017, they play Frost and Fire 3 with Manila Road, Jaguar, Amulet, Raven, Riot City, and more. And in October of 2018, they play Frost and Fire 4. Cirith Ungol plays with Slough, Feg, Gygax, Haunt, Midnight, Night Demon, Shock, Paris, Satan, Visigoth. And also in 2018, they mark a milestone for the festival, Frost and Fire London. The press release from Night Demon reads, "We're simply expanding the Frost and Fire concept to cross the Atlantic and pay tribute, fittingly enough, to the cradle of the new wave of British heavy metal movement. It is an honor and a privilege to bring Frost and Fire to the UK to make history on English shores." So May 11th, 2018, Cirith Ungol plays Frost and Fire London with Angel Witch, Amulet, and Night Demon.
We decided to expand Frost and Fire to more of a worldwide event. And mainly, I think the reason for that was to bring Cirith Ungol to other countries where promoters either didn't want to take the risk and spend the money, or didn't have the economical resources to really bring the band over the proper way and give them a proper showing. And so we decided to do Frost and Fire London. And, you know, it's like, you'd think London, right? Okay. Like in London being the biggest city in England, the birthplace of heavy metal, would be a no-brainer, right? You'd have this huge infrastructure of promoters and venues that, you know, metal and rock is just completely thriving. Well, that's not the case. You know, they say metal's dead in the States. It's not dead, but it's definitely a lot less popular than it ever was. The same thing goes for the UK. I'll tell you right now, it's dismal. It's very sad. I mean, Night Demon's had amazing times in the UK, and we will continue to tour and play a lot in the UK just because we love the people and we love the place. We love the true spirit of metal that the UK holds. I'm actually in the UK right now recording this interview. So there you have it. But the scene it's just so small. And no promoters were really they really couldn't step up financially to bring Cirith Ungol over there. So I said, okay, we're going to do Frost and Fire London. We're going to bring Cirith Ungol over there. I'm going to call one of my favorite bands of all time, Angel Witch, and have them as a co-headliner. That worked out. And we ended up having a sold out festival in London, 2 nights. And it was fucking amazing, you know? So that was the thing. It was a big risk, but we took it. We took the leap. We made it happen. And we were better for it. I mean, everything worked out better for that, for having done that and bringing Cirith Ungol to the UK. I mean, the guys in the band had never been there. They deserved a trip there anyway. And actually, we went to Stonehenge. A good friend of mine, Candy, rented a car and took us to Stonehenge. It was great. We've got some cool pictures and cool videos from there. We did some kind of Spinal Tap-ish shit. But no, it was just a great trip. But so Greg could not make that trip. Greg actually called us the morning that his flight was supposed to leave. Armand and I came out early to hang out in London for a bit and kind of do some things to set up the festival and get adjusted to the time zone. But the morning of their flight, Greg had to cancel because his mother had taken a spill. But Armand just basically got thrown right into it. And I had to call him right away and go, hey, you're playing guitar for Cirith Ungol in 2 days. And he's like, whoa.
Well, I had gone out to the UK a couple weeks before because we went out there and did a Frost and Fire in London. And so I have some family in the UK. And I went out there to go hang out with my cousin for the week before the shows, you know, just to kind of get some time in with him. And, you know, he's a crazy bastard and good friend as well as family. And it was really nice to spend some time with him. So I was at a pub, or I don't know, some pub with him. I think it was on like a Wednesday. It was like a couple days before the fest. I was planning on staying with him one more night. Then I was going to take a train to London, you know, the day before the show or something, whenever the guys got there, and meet up with them and, you know, work the show. And, you know, we played as well. So I get a call from Jarvis and I'm at the bar. It's like, dude, I gotta get, you know, he sends me a message like, answer your phone. It's really important. I'm like, oh shit, what's going on? You know, and then he tells me that Greg's mom was really sick and she was in the hospital and he was worried that she wasn't going to make it out. So he decided that he just wasn't going to be able to go out and do these shows. Cause I think in total, we were in Europe. I mean, they were in Europe with us for like 5 or 6 days. So, you know, he was just kind of worried about that. And that, you know, what if she passes while I'm gone in Europe playing these gigs? You know, he could never forgive himself for that or whatever. He had to be there for his family. So Jarvis is like, remember how we talked about you filling in for the guys at some point, or Greg or Jimmy or something? Well, that time has come. And I was like, fucking 2 sheets to the wind at the pub with my cousin, you know, drinking Guinness and whiskey and whatever the hell we were doing. And I'm like, okay, I'm ready.
You know, like never played a note for the band, never learned any of the songs, but he's such a great musician and he had been around enough that he had, you know, he just had these songs ingrained in his head and he just sat down with his guitar and crunched for 2 days and crammed. And then Jimmy got to town and they kind of went over a couple things in the hotel and he just killed it.
Hearing those songs played live, you know, I don't know, maybe about 100 times now. The way I work with music is that shit soaks in and I learn it and I have an ear for music like that. And I just kind of like figure it out. It's easy. I can kind of pick up a guitar and just, you know, oh, I think it's played here. Or I think, you know, after a while, like you recognize what certain notes and certain intervals sound like. It's part of like having a trained ear. And so that you can just pick up an instrument and you kind of already know how to play it without putting any work in. Obviously, there were some things I had to go over. But it goes back for a while, like there was always kind of a thing where, you know, anything can happen with these guys. Somebody might not be able to make some show, something could happen, you know, who knows, but it was always this thing in the back of our, and behind the scenes, like, hey man, you should probably learn these songs because at some point you might end up playing with them or something. Who knows what could happen, you know? I was like, yeah, whatever, you know, funny thing. Now, here's the thing. If it was having to cover for Jimmy and play all those solos, if something happened to Jimmy and he couldn't make it, I would not be able to pull that off in like a 2-day, you know, with a 2-day warm up. I'm just not, there's just a lot of shit going on with all those solos, and he's put a lot of time and effort into learning those things, you know, right. Especially all the Jerry solos, you know, people know those things. Those are signature fucking riffs, man, and people know them. So you can't just like, oh, I'm just going to put my own spin on it and play whatever. You got to play them the way they are on the record. That's what people want to hear, you know? So that would be a really big challenge for me. So basically I was like, all right, man, well, you know, I'll be there the day before the gig and tell Jimmy, you know, let's spend time in the freaking rehearsal room or in the hotel room, you know, going over some stuff. I didn't have a guitar with me either when I was in England with my cousins, so I couldn't even start rehearsing. So I basically cruised out to London, met up with the guys, and just immediately went up and met up with Jimmy and said, okay, well, what's a set list? The good thing was that the set list was kind of around the same for the few shows. I mean, there was a few songs that were different here and there. And yeah, the parts were, I kind of knew what to do already. Because like I said, when you sit there and watch a band play over and over and you're on stage with them every night, you know, on a tour or on a weekend of shows, you see what they're doing. You look at, I look at their hands. I look at a guitar player's hands and I see how they play and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, that gave me a one-up on just like coming in blind without knowing any of the material. Obviously, I knew the material in and out from hearing it so much. So, you know, put that together with my experience and my, you know, trained ear, if you want to call it that. And it wasn't that hard to put together.
And we ended up playing Hamburg that week as well together, both bands. And we did the Rock Hard Festival, which was amazing. I mean, it's the biggest show Cirith Ungol had ever played. I think there was 8,000 people when they were playing. It was just a fucking awesome gig. And Armand totally killed it.
It was rad, man. It's fucking one of the highlights of my career, like playing with those guys. And we played some big shows, man. The London show was awesome. Played Rock Hard Festival. I got to play that festival 2 days in a row, once with Night Demon, once with Cirith Ungol. And just, it was so fun to just get on stage with those guys and like, Jarvis already brings a pretty good energy to them. You know what I mean? A new, younger kind of energy thing. And I feel like with me as well, those guys were just like having so much fun watching me and him kind of run around the stage. And, I was just fucking having too much fun about it. I was like smoking a cigarette while we were playing, one of the slower songs fucking at the Rock Hard Festival.
Really, really fucking cool that he was able to step up like that. I mean, it just says a lot about him, and I'm just really proud to have somebody like him around and in our camp. Besides all of his ability producing these Cirith Ungol records and mixing and stuff, for him to be able to step in and perform, and he probably played better than all of us, to be honest with you.
So I'm ready to do it again whenever. Obviously, I don't want Greg or Jimmy to not ever play a show. But, if we ever need a third guitar player, I'll jump in there. Or if you want to take a break, Greg, let me know. I'll jump in anytime.
Metal Blade Records presents the return of heavy metal legends Armored Saint with their 8th full-length album, Punching the Sky. A diverse, attitude-drenched collection, it's everything the band's faithful have come to expect from them while pushing their signature sound forward. Featuring 11 hard-hitting tracks, available on double LP and Digipack CD. Right now, Metal Blade Records is giving all Night Demon Heavy Metal podcast listeners a 15% store-wide discount on all Metal Blade releases and merchandise, including this masterpiece from Armored Saint. Go to indiemerch.com/Metalblade Records and enter promo code NDPodcast at checkout. This store is loaded with tons of swag from some of the best bands in metal, like Midnight, Cirith Ungol, Merciful Fate, Angel Witch, Satan, and of course, the mighty Armored Saint. That's indiemerch.com/Metalblade Records, promo code NDPodcast. So march like a saint and take the last train home. Can you deliver?
As I mentioned earlier, I think Cirith Ungol were ahead of their time, but it finally seems like the world has caught up to the Kings of the Dead. In 2018, Cirith Ungol was approached to write a new song for an animated movie called Planet of Doom. And the band had been throwing around new ideas, and this was a perfect opportunity to dip their feet back into creating and recording new material. In October of 2018, the new Cirith Ungol track was released on vinyl, including multiple limited edition colored versions. And Witch's Game was the first new Cirith Ungol track to be written and recorded in 27 years. Reviews of the new song are great. One reviewer called it hands down their best song yet. And happy with the experience, the band, they decided to work on a new full-length album that would become 2020's Forever Black. Here's Tim Baker, vocals, Cirith Ungol.
At that time, we'd already done Witch's Game, so we kind of had an idea what we wanted to do once we got back in the studio to do a full-length album. So we were kind of left on our own to write that album, of course, as Cirith Ungol.
As far as our involvement with the writing of the music for new material, it's very little. Jimmy, I would say, writes the bulk of the guitar riffs, and Greg comes in with complete songs most of the time. And then lyric writing, either Greg will have something or Tim writes most of the lyrics. Rob will come in with some stuff occasionally, and then Tim will modify that stuff. I would say Rob and Tim have the ultimate vision production-wise of the band, with arrangements and just the overall themes and the feel of the direction. And they're really good at controlling that. My role, I would say, I'm like the editor. I'm like the final stop. So I try not to I don't come to the band with like a brand new riff or anything. I really want them to be Cirith Ungol from the ground up. I do so many other things musically, and I know it's been a concern of theirs. I know Rob has said he doesn't want Cirith Ungol sounding like Night Demon. He wants it to be separate. And so, I could definitely write in the style of Ungol, but I just haven't brought anything to the table yet because of that. But, generally they'll work on stuff and demo songs, and then I'll listen to them and go, okay.
Here's Jim Barraza, guitar, Cirith Ungol.
Yeah, during the writing of Forever Black, for the guitar riffs, I pretty much in between our trips to Europe, I'd come back with, I don't know, just something in me that, I don't know where it'd come from. I know it was from being on the road, doing a live show. I would just do, write riffs, and I'd shoot them off to Ken, Greg, Jarvis, and just see what they thought about it. So I'd get a couple different things that went well together, try to, piece it like a song the best I could, and maybe do a solo section. Eventually Tim would match up, lyrics, or decide what, hey, this would be great for this song. We just start hammering out the structures and beginnings and endings and anything special. That's what Rob loves to do, is just the beginnings and endings and, any little changes that we could do to make it better. The recording of Forever Black, that was great to work with Armand, from Night Demon. And I know Dustin helped out Rob a lot on the setting up his drums, getting them all tuned up and mic'd up and all that.
Armand records them and does any kind of, like pre-production stuff with them. Jarvis is constantly working on songs with those guys. Cirith Ungol writes their songs as a band, and then Jarvis will come in and learn whatever they're doing and then put his 2 cents in as far as production and stuff like that, and songwriting and ideas. And then Armand will translate all those ideas and, record the band. And I think the band is comfortable with us enough that, they can go in and work no problem. Like if Robert's getting ready to record a record, especially at Armand's, I'll go in and, tune up the drum set and kind of help Robert carry it from the rehearsal space over to the recording studio. Just give him a hand, but when it comes to them executing the game plan, I'm not there for any kind of recording or anything like that. I'd rather let Robert do his thing and let the rest of the guys work together and do what Cirith Ungol does. Too many cooks in the kitchen, it's never really a good thing, and they already have 2/3 of Night Demon there, so they don't really need me breathing down their necks. So,
but once we got to the studio, it was more of a collaboration, since it is Armand's studio, and he knows how to get the sound and what we wanted to sound like.
Yeah, so we took some time. We took about a week to do the drums. It was spread out over a year. It wasn't as, we didn't spend a year straight on it, obviously, but there was some touring and stuff like that in between that we had to put it on hold for. When all's said and done, we probably spent maybe about a month doing the whole record, from top to bottom. It was really exciting to do. Well, I mean, I had already we broke the mold when we did the song, when we did Witch's Game, the single. That was the real test, That was like, okay, we're going to put out a single and this is going to decide if we can pull off doing a whole record or we should just stick to our catalog and play what people want to hear. Because that's the thing with bands like that, legacy bands. I don't always want to hear new stuff by them because most of the time it's disappointing. I mean, honestly, But I think they went beyond, and they really fucking stepped up to the plate and put out another classic record. I think it'll be right up there with the other ones, in 20 years or 30 years or whatever. And I am so grateful and proud to be part of that. There was a lot of stuff that I did do on that record that really helped turn it into what it is, production-wise.
Here's Greg Lindstrom, guitar, Cirith Ungol.
And then our latest album, Forever Black, I think it takes up from King of the Dead, really. I think the songs are super cool, and it's a pretty good performance on our part for a bunch of old geezers.
What can I say about that? Now that we see a lot of the reviews and, popping up on people's lists, best of top 10 or top 50 or 100 for the year of 2020. That's kind of cool to see. It's good to know that our efforts were recognized.
What is up, Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast listeners? This is your resident motor mouth, Jarvis Leatherby, telling you about something very, very special here. The Decibel Hall of Fame Anthology Volume 3. This is a book, guys. That's right. We all know Decibel Magazine as the #1 metal magazine in North America for many years running. But you know what? They also have a fucking killer book series, okay? I want to tell you about this. The Decibel Hall of Fame Anthology Volume 3. This limited edition hardcover includes 25 Hall of Fame stories from Decibel's revered monthly series of artist interviews on the making of their classic extreme music albums. Featured in this book are stories behind classic albums such as Stained Class by Judas Priest, Apocalyptic Raids from our good buddy Tom Warrior's Hellhammer, Pleasure to Kill from Teutonic German terror creator, Court in the Act from the legendary new wave of British heavy metal gods, Satan, and of course, Abigail from the legendary King Diamond. And last but not least, Night Demon's personal favorite, Heartwork, from the only other band from Liverpool, Carcass. So guys, please head on over right now to store.decibelmagazine.com and grab a copy to read the definite stories of heavy metal's definitive albums. Put in the promo code Night Demon upon checkout to receive 10% off. That's Night Demon, one word, all capital letters. Get your 10%, store.decibelmagazine.com. While you're there, guys, go ahead and grab a subscription of the Mag 2. They've got a great vinyl flexi series. Do yourselves a favor here. Get on the level. Store.decibelmagazine.com. Promo code Night Demon. See ya. Hi, my name's Kit Ekman. I am a close friend of Night Demon and have done a bunch of stuff, mostly behind the scenes for them over the years. As a metalhead for more than 3.5 decades, I've been a Cirith Ungol fan forever. I mean, always worshiped the King of the Dead record, especially, who didn't? If you were part of the underground metal scene in the 1980s, Cirith Ungol was one of those cult bands that had a certain magic and otherworldliness about them. Even then, I never imagined I would see them live, much less meet them and become friends with them. The worldwide reception to Forever Black was exceptional. Ever since the Frost and Fire 2 show in 2016, everyone knew Cirith Ungol could still deliver the goods live. They'd proven that. But the big question was, could they capture the magic of old on a new batch of tunes? That's a very different responsibility and a very different objective than going out and playing the old stuff and making it work. Forever Black is tightly focused on distilling the essence of Cirith Ungol's trademark sound, their unique power, in the context of concise, memorable songs that stick with you from the very first time you hear them. And it worked. Many of my European friends, lifelong fanatics of Cirith Ungol, were absolutely effusive in their praise, just swooning in their appreciation and their love of Forever Black from the day it dropped in April of 2020. It showed up at or near the top of many favorite albums lists for 2020 by those individuals and publications who focus on the old school heavy metal underground, which is obviously the niche where Cirith Ungol belongs. In many ways, it was a landmark release, and it's viewed as such by the fans. There really are no weak links on Forever Black, but a definite highlight for me is Legions Arise. It's the opening track. It's an aggressive, up-tempo song, a mission statement, a call to arms, and honestly, a warm thank you to the Cirith Ungol Legions who stood by and never lost hope for all those years when Cirith Ungol were away and things seemed so bleak. It would be an absolutely killer opening song for a Cirith Ungol live performance, and I can't wait to see it happen someday. I know it will. Another song that gets me every time for totally different reasons is The Fire Divine. It's got this killer 70s rockin' vibe, a totally infectious riff, and then this monster chorus that just comes in and levels everything. It's sort of a simple, straightforward song, especially by Ungol standards, but it just plain smokes in all departments. In my opinion, you can't talk about Forever Black without talking about Stormbringer. Located smack dab in the middle of the track listing, I really feel like Stormbringer is the beating heart of this record. It's an epic, doomy track that totally captures the Elric vibe, the vibe that you get from the album covers, not only of this album, but every Ungol album. Tim Baker turns in one of his best performances, I think, of all time on this song, not only because of the just surprising clean part at the beginning, but because he just brings out the anguish and the power and the emotion so effectively on the rest of the track. The guitar solo is devastating, and then the solemn chanted backing vocals, the part where it goes, "The blade and I are one," especially at the end, just put it over the top. It's a bona fide instant classic, Stormbringer. And as much beloved as it is, and I firmly believe it is, I don't think the true measure of Forever Black will ever be fully recognized until the band are able to get back out there, get back on stage, and perform some of these songs live. That's when the real place of these songs in the hierarchy and the canon of Cirith Ungol, when that will finally, come to be proven once and for all. What is clear, however, is that Forever Black is forever etched in the hearts and the souls of Cirith Ungol's loyal legions. What a triumph, man. It really is.
One thing that comes up a lot if you read reviews for Forever Black is the amazing production. And that has everything to do with Night Demon's Armand John Anthony.
There's one role, there's two roles. There's the stage role, which is like a tech for all the guitars and, electronics, or, whatever, getting the sounds right live, getting their monitors going, everything you can imagine, getting their tones right, making sure that they sound good at every gig that we do, that's my thing. And then, that rolls over into producing and recording them. Again, it's one of those things, like, how do you take a band like that has such a distinct sound and that people are, obsessed over, and record new music with them, and finding the line, you gotta find that, like they say, the fine line of putting a modern twist, but also keeping that classic sound so that you're not going to piss off, the fans that have gotten them to where they are, So I think we pulled that off pretty well. There was a lot of back and forth and not sure about things and sounds when it came to mixing and, kind of going into it blind, Rob on the drums, he's got his way of doing things and his way of playing. and the way he likes his drums to sound. And, you know, that's it, man. I can't take that and polish it and make it sound like a fucking, you know, I can't put samples all over his drums and quantize everything and make it all perfect to a grid, because it just would not sound right. The reason Cirith Ungol sounds like they do and why people love the way they sound is because it has a lot to do with how Rob plays the drums. He's not an orthodox drummer. He's got his own kind of thing, and it's awesome, and it works, and it makes it unique. So trying to keep a lot of that in there, you know, with the also the modern techniques, and obviously getting it to a level to where it can compete with a modern album. It can be on the charts next to fucking the new Megadeth record or whatever, you know, something like that. So I had a lot of fun doing that, and it was great. And I think the guys, they all did an amazing job. You know, working with Jimmy and Greg on the guitar parts was fucking really cool, man. Those guys came out with some really good songs, I think. And also being able to like show them some production tricks that they may not have ever tried before, you know, stuff that I know. It's like, how cool is that, being able to teach these guys that have been around since I was a fucking baby, you know, shitting myself in diapers. You know, now I'm here teaching them some new tricks. It's a pretty good feeling.
So off the strength of Forever Black, the band is still busy creating new material.
Really looking forward to the next one, and I think we work together really well. Obviously, I think the album shows that, and getting back in the studio and doing our next album. So it's really good to have Armand studio right next to our, you know, where we are at Night Demon headquarters, and it's a fantastic experience being back in the studio, and we're really looking forward to the next one.
Well, we have a new EP that's going to come out pretty soon. I'm sure you guys might know the name by now, Half Past Human. It will be titled 4 songs.
The new EP, Half Past Human, technically it hasn't been announced yet. This is kind of the first public mentioning of it. It features 4 old classic songs that never made it onto albums, kind of reimagined for 2021.
And that to me, that was probably the most exciting of all the stuff. Number one, to be a part of, Tim, Rob, and Greg's beginnings. And the song titles at first kind of put me off, but as I got into it and we played it more and practiced it started to feel like it, you know, part of it became mine, I guess. It's not really mine, but I just felt like I molded into the music and could feel it a lot better and enjoyed it more. So once we recorded it, man, yeah, it was nice to hear it, just come back to life. But yeah, the Night Demon, you know, definitely without Night Demon, it would never happen. None of this would have never happened, actually. They've been tremendous help, and you know, who knows what's around the next corner, but they got our backs, man. They're there for us. I appreciate that a lot.
We really owe them a debt of gratitude, and like I said before, earlier in this interview, you know, we love them as brothers. We're a family, and we're just looking forward to getting back on the road together and having some fun, and you know, showing people out there what heavy metal is all about. You know,
seeing these guys come back and reunite after so long, and to see how they were able to get their band to the next level and take it somewhere that they never thought would ever happen in their lifetime, I think is really cool. So I learned working with them that it's never too late to fulfill your dreams and to really manifest your destiny. So, you know, I'm inspired by watching them. I'm inspired by working with them. I'm inspired to be around them. So there's a lot. We work as a team all the way around, so
I'm happy to help them and make them feel like fucking rock stars by having their guitars tuned and ready to go and making sure every little need is there. Because I would want the same thing for me when I get to their age and stature. So here's to you guys. Thanks for everything. And here's to the future. Can't wait to keep doing some more and a new record. And, who knows? Another fucking 10 years of Ungol. Let's do it.
You kind of start to appreciate the people around you a lot more. And in the big picture, if they're really happy about something, it makes me really happy about something. And I know that at the end of the day, that's what's going to strengthen the things that we do together, because it's all about family and friendship and community and the band. And that's what Night Demon and Cirith Ungol are. We are a family of two bands connected, and we're inseparable. I mean, it's such an awesome legacy and such a great connection to have. And in the history books, our two names will be beside each other synonymously.
Well, that's it for the Cirith Ungol story. There's lots of future plans in place for the band, so the story is by no means close to an end. I'll be 100% honest, it took me a while to get Cirith Ungol. When I first heard Jarvis played with them, I checked them out and I wasn't sure how to wrap my head around them. I think I was 4 or 5 songs in before it really clicked. It was like when you get into a hot tub and at first it seems a bit too hot and uncomfortable, but then your body gets used to it and then it just feels awesome. Well, Cirith Ungol are like that. They're a unique band. They have a long, interesting history, a discography of amazing songs. Some of their best stuff, I think, has yet to be released. So if you're a new fan and you want to check them out, be sure to give them a chance. Stay in the hot tub. You won't be disappointed. In the subscriber section of nightdemon.net, there's a ton of bonus content. We've got bootleg audio of Join the Legion, Black Machine, and Frost and Fire live from the Frost and Fire 3 festival in 2017. There's a gallery of over 100 unearthed pro-shot photos from Hamburg, Germany in 2018, where Armand filled in on guitar. We got streaming audio from the Rock Palast 2018. That's audio with Armand filling in on guitar. And we also have demos from the Forever Black sessions, which are pretty cool. You can check those out. So be sure to check that out on nightdemon.net. Until next time, this is Nesbitt signing off.
Thanks for listening to the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast. Head over to nightdemon.net, click on the subscriber tab, and sign up to access exclusive weekly bonus content. If you would like to donate to support the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast, you can do so through PayPal at paypal.me/nightdemonmetal. Additionally, if you have not already done so, please subscribe, like, rate, and review the show on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Unbearable suspense keeps you on the edge of an abyss of terror.
Take a cult film odyssey into Cinemadness with Cinematic Void. Based in Los Angeles, Cinematic Void is a film series that specializes in horror and exploitation films. Currently, we are hosting Cinematic Void Up All Night in the Cinemadness movie, a monthly virtual screening series, as well as the Cinematic Void podcast, where we dive deeper into the world of cult cinema. You can find Cinematic Void on the World Wide Web at cinematicvoid.com, as well as Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And if you like what we do, you can support Cinematic Void by joining our Patreon. Until next time, see you in the void.